Chili has always been one of my favorite comfort meals, whether it's served with cornbread or with rice, over fries or over a hot dog. I want to show you guys how I love to make mine. Alright, so I don't know about y'all, but chili in my family is more of like a year-round thing. And there's always some type of debate whether beans go in chili, whether you should serve it with rice, cornbread, Fritos, scoops, it doesn't matter. This is how I like mine, chunky, full of flavor. And I can't say it's award-winning just yet, but once you guys try this out, make sure you drop a comment. Let me know what you think, and that'll be good enough for me. So the ingredients list is going to be pretty simple. Everything that you're going to be able to find in your grocery store. So I got some diced bell peppers and onions, some drained kidney and black beans that I rinsed off, some ground sirloin, some chuck roast, plenty of seasoning, some diced tomatoes. Everything else will be listed in this comment section below. And we're using a slow cooker because I couldn't find my Dutch oven anywhere. So let's get started with prepping these veggies. I got my red bell pepper. I'm just going to slice a little bit off of the top. And then I'm going to slice down each side. Right here, I'm just cutting all around the membrane. Slicing my peppers this way is kind of a habit now. I feel like I end up wasting less of the pepper. You guys tell me what you think. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I do the same exact thing with the green pepper that I just did with the red pepper. Then I'm going to break down my onion and prep that as well. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Make It Happen on the chef knife. This thing is the truth. You guys should definitely check it out if you're interested in purchasing one. Okay, so with the red pepper, I'm going to give it like a rough chop. I'm not trying to dice it up too small. I want the peppers to be able to hold up to the long cook time. Remember what I said in the beginning of the video, I really like a more hearty chili, so I'm not going to dice these up too small. And the same thing for the onion. Cooking these low and slow with this chili is going to allow the flavor to really develop in this chili. So after you split it, cut it horizontal, then cut a few vertical slits, and then just slice straight down to give it a nice rough chop. And then just set those veggies aside on a tray or a bowl or whatever you got. If you like me and this is your first YouTube video, go ahead and pause for a drink here. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing. So I got some ground chuck roast, and I went ahead and cut it into small cubes, maybe about an inch thick or maybe two. Once this cooks, this is going to start to break down and tenderize. After I get this chuck roast all cubed up, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of avocado oil. Mix that all around to make sure that the oil is spread over all of the pieces of the chuck roast. And then I'm going to hit it with some seasoning and then get it all mixed up some more. This is just like an all-purpose seasoning rub, and I'm making sure to season it well so that when I put it over this medium-high heat, it'll get a nice sear to it. This step is not necessarily important if you prefer, but to me, the searing of the meat is going to give it even more flavor. So I couldn't find my Dutch oven, but I had an enamel cast iron. You can use a regular cast iron skillet or a non-stick skillet, whichever one is just big enough in size. Big enough to fit your meat and veggies in. So into my enamel cast iron over medium-high heat, I got that chuck roast down, and I'm just trying to sear it on both sides. Spread it out to make sure that enough of that chuck roast has enough contact area to hit the surface of the pan. After a couple minutes on that medium-high heat, it should begin to look like this with a nice beautiful brown sear on it. Just go ahead and flip it over and then allow it to sear on the other side as well for another couple minutes. When I say sear, that's why I'm telling you to use medium-high to high heat. That's the only way you're going to get a good sear on here. Medium or medium-low isn't going to give you the sear that you're actually looking for. Since I cut this into small cubes, we're partially cooking this here, but it's going to finish its cooking in the slow cooker. After a couple minutes, just go ahead and set these aside. I put them in a small bowl, and you can see pretty much the fond or the flavor that's going to be left behind in this cast iron skillet. So to that same skillet, and we're still working with medium-high heat here, I'm going to go ahead and add that ground sirloin. Now, if you can't find the ground sirloin at your grocery store, don't worry. You can use ground beef as well. What I'm doing here is just making sure to spread the ground meat across the bottom of the skillet to allow for more contact area. What I mean by that is me spreading it across the bottom of the skillet is going to allow for the whole thing to brown at the bottom. I let it get a nice sear and get nice and brown on the bottom before I actually start to break it up here. So I may have left it for about 2 minutes. And the thing about this ground beef or ground sirloin is that it's going to release a lot of fat. So by the time you are done breaking down this meat, you're going to want to make sure to drain all of that fat so you don't carry that over into your actual chili. So now that I've gotten the ground beef all broken down, this is what it should look like. I'm going to get a strainer in a bowl and just strain off this meat to make sure that that excess grease is all strained out. You can use the paper towel method, but I'm just showing you guys another way as well. Now I'm throwing that ground sirloin right back into that same skillet. Next, all you have to do is add these peppers and onions into that ground meat mixture. Get that all mixed up. Now we're working over a medium heat. Next, I'm kind of doing a few substitutions for some things. I'm using this jalapeno pepper paste instead of just whole jalapenos. And I'm also using this garlic paste instead of whole cloves of garlic all minced up. That's just me working smarter, not harder, and doing less work. I'm using some of this beef better than bouillon base. That way I don't have to add beef broth to this chili. And I'm gonna add a good amount of tomato paste here. This was gonna help to thicken this chili up. Now, if I would have had a Dutch oven, I could have just added every single thing into the Dutch oven and just kept it cooking, put it over medium low heat or low heat, and just allow it to cook for a few hours. But since I don't have my Dutch oven, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in a pan for my slow cooker. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and add some diced tomatoes. And then after you add the diced tomatoes, you fill the same can with some water. And then you add that can of water into the mixture as well. Yes, it's gonna look a little loose, but as it begins to cook, reduce down, that tomato paste is gonna reduce down and begin to thicken up the sauce. This is where you wanna go ahead and add that chuck roast back into it. Mix everything together until they become best friends. And this was preheating already, so if you start to see how hot this thing is, don't worry, it's because it was preheating. It's not actually on. I added some more seasoning, I added some chili powder, a little bit of cumin. I'm gonna go ahead and add my black beans. Next, you want to add those kidney beans. You can use dark red or red kidney beans. Remember, these were canned, so we went ahead and drained them and rinsed them off. Give that a good mix until everybody becomes best friends. You see how hot it looks already? In just a short amount of time doing the prep, is already starting to thicken up just a little bit. Close that lid, and we're going to slow cook this for a few hours. I hadn't used this one in a while, so I realized that it said that it was on high, but I actually put it on low, and we slow cooked it for about 3 hours on low. After about a few hours, I opened it up and I just began to give it a nice little mix. It's definitely going to thicken up some. If you want it to get even thicker, you can add more tomato paste. You can cook it longer at this point. But as this actually sits in the crock pot, it's going to begin to thicken up on its own as well. The reason we went ahead and cooked it this long at that low temp is to make sure that that chuck roast gets to tenderize. You'll see how this just breaks apart in your hand, but not just for the tenderizing, but so that all the flavors can come together. But like I said, that chuck roast should just start shredding in your hands. And this is extremely hot, so make sure you be careful. But you could take like a potato masher or even a back of the spoon and kind of just crush up that chuck roast a little bit. Keep in mind, like I said at the beginning of the video, I like mine a little more hearty, so the thicker pieces being in there don't bother me too much. But after a few hours or so, this is ready. So we're just going to begin to plate this up and get some garnishes ready. So I have a jalapeno here. I'm just going to get this sliced up, seeds in and everything. Another garnish I like to top mine with is actually cilantro. Some people do parsley, but I actually prefer the flavor of cilantro. Get this all chopped up so that you don't have a bunch of huge leaves in your chili. And just as I was getting my garnishes ready, I kept the chili cooking for a little bit, and you can still see that it continues to thicken up. The meat's going to continue to get nice and tender so they can break and fall apart. But get that all plated up. I topped it with some sour cream, cheddar, some jalapenos, and a cilantro. I did one with just cornbread, and then I did the other with some rice. Make sure you guys drop a comment to tell me how you eat your chili. I love mine with a nice cornbread. I actually paired this with a jalapeno cheddar cornbread. I'll be doing a video next on how to make that. But this chili was the truth. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I got plenty of content coming for you guys. Try this one out. I'll catch you guys next time. It's a wrap. Let's go.